Alright, what is going on, y'all? It's your boy KBeaZy, and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I mix my beats. So I feel like in the past few months I've learned a lot about different methods to mix your beats compared to what I used to do, and I think my mix now is definitely better than it used to be. So I'm going to be showing you guys things that I've learned and just my process now. But yeah, if you're watching this video, be sure to go follow me over on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/KBeaZy, because I'm going to be doing a lot of streaming on there, making beats live, and a bunch of giveaways and stuff. For example, I am giving away this Omnisphere once we get a subscribe button on Twitch, so stay tuned to that. Also, be sure to go follow me on Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter at KBeaZy. First off, I have this beat I made. This melody is from my homie Vu. Shout out to Vu. First, on your master, you always want to have a soft clipper. I used to EQ my master down here and just add some high end and stuff, but I don't really do that anymore. Which I'll explain later on, but I still make sure to have the soft clipper on when I'm making the beats, and I'll show you why later, but it's still the beat sounds good before I master, because if I'm playing this beat right now with no soft clipper, it's gonna like clip hella hard, so I'm gonna let you guys hear it. So yeah, if you're ever making beats and you hear that like sort of heavy limited, heavily compressed sort of sound coming out of your FL, it's because you don't have a soft clipper and the beat is too loud, so it's just clipping and therefore it's having to turn itself down. So yeah, with the soft clipper it sounds like this. So yeah, hopefully you can hear the difference between those two, because it is a pretty drastic difference. But yeah, so when you're making the beat, I recommend having a soft clipper on just so the beat doesn't clip too hard. Now, first thing I do when I'm working with a sample, like right now I have the intro, I duplicated it, so what I did is I just like dragged it out over here, and then I clicked here, and then I hit make unique. And what that did is it made a second instance of the sample. So for the intro, I want there to be low end in the sample, because as you can see, if I pull up an EQ, there's like bass in the sample right here, like right around 100 hertz, and that's gonna really mess with an 808. So I wanted that in the intro, but when the 808 comes in right here, I didn't want it. So first things first, I'm gonna actually EQ the low end out of the melody. So this doesn't matter if you're using a loop, a sample, or a actual like VSTs to make your melody. What I do is I just go to here and I hit like steep 6 or steep 8, depends how much you want to cut out. So I'm gonna go like steep 8, and then I'm just gonna drag out some of the low end of the sample. So yeah. Sometimes one EQ isn't enough, so what I do is I just drag it down here on the low end, and then I just sort of pull this into, and you can see in the top left right here where what frequency you're at. So when it's at like 200 hertz, I usually call it good. So right now I'm cutting the low end out just so the 808 can hit, and that's going to be crucial. That's like one of the main elements I see newer producers mess up when they're mixing, so yeah. Then other than that, it's just pretty much leveling. So when I'm actually making the beat right, I'm just gonna mix everything as I go, because I want the beat to be loud when I'm making it. I don't mix as I'm making the beat really. I just level it, and then I do all like my mastering and all that after the fact. So usually I just turn the 808 up a little bit, I turn the kick up pretty loud, turn the hi-hat down a little bit, and I usually do this all in here. It depends on the clap you're using, but I'm gonna turn the clap up in this instance, and then I'm gonna let you guys hear it. So. So yeah, that's like a pretty basic levels that I would put it at when I'm making the beat. I would turn the 808 up or down a little bit depending on how loud it is, but you want it to be louder than the melody, usually like in here. Then I usually just turn the kick up pretty loud, and then I turn the clap up, I turn the perk and the hi-hat down a little bit. And the melody I usually turn down, but this one's pretty good, so you don't have to turn it down in this instance. The next thing you want to do once the beat is done, so let's say I finished the whole beat, I already did that leveling process, and that's like not actually anything final, that just sort of gives you a good reference point. And I'll show you the reason I do it in here instead of the mixer right now. So once the beat is actually done, what I do is I literally just turn everything down to like around this knobs level, and I've been doing this for like about 3 weeks-ish, because a lot of my producer friends like have been putting me onto these like mastering plugins, which I use Ozone, so I'm gonna show you guys that. But so I just figured it was time to work on my mix and stuff. But yeah, usually I just turn them all down right here, and then I just do a final little mix check. Once you turn all these down, what I usually do is I take the soft clipper off, and then I turn my interface up just so I can hear the beat loud enough, because obviously if I left my interface at the same level, I wouldn't really be able to hear that much. So make sure you turn your speakers up, and then I just do some basic leveling. So I'm gonna let you guys hear what I do. So yeah, as you guys could see on the percussion elements of this beat, so the clap, the perk, and the hi-hat, I had just a little bit of a high-end boost going on. So what I usually do is I just grab this top little end and push it up a little bit, and that just makes the drums crispy. I've been doing this for a while, but I used to EQ the master, but that's just not really a good idea in general, because when you just drag the high end up a bunch, it sort of just changes the whole dynamics of the beat. Like the actual melody will have a bunch of high end and stuff, and then you gotta reduce it, and I don't know, then it just takes a while. So now what I just do is I just level it and I just slightly change it up in here, and then I EQ the percussion a little bit, like the hi-hat, perks, claps, snares, open hats, just stuff like that, just to give it sort of more crispiness up on the high end. So yeah, once I do all the basic leveling and the basic EQing, I open up Ozone 8, and there's this thing called the Master Assistant, which I think is the #1 trick that people don't know about on how to master their beats. Which, shout out to Kyle Stenberger, he put me onto Ozone, I think. So pretty much, yeah, you just click this Master Assistant button right here, and then you click Streaming. And see right here it says for best results, play the loudest part of your track. So you want to make sure it's looping on like a part of your beat where pretty much every element of the beat is included. So I just like highlight here by right clicking and loop like a part of my beat where almost all the elements are included. Don't do like a bridge or anything. You want to make sure that it's during like a part where all the percussion is, and then you just click Master Assistant, you click next, and then it waits for you to play the audio. So I'm gonna mute my mic and play the audio, and you guys can see what it does. So yeah. Okay, so now what this does is it just gives you a good baseline for a mix. So it has an EQ, a dynamic EQ, an imager, and then it has a maximizer. This is pretty useful just because it just sort of gives you a good baseline to go off of. It makes your beat a lot louder without clipping. So what I noticed a lot of the times with the old way I used to mix, when I used a soft clipper and then I EQ'd out here, the beat was still clipping pretty heavily. But what you do by turning it down in here and then, you know, mastering it after and maximizing it after, is everything stops clipping. So if you ever have a beat that's sort of like peaking hella, and like, I don't know if you guys have ever had a melody or like a kick in an 808 and it just sort of makes a crackling noise like every time the kick of the 808 hits and the melody just sort of crackles. That can be like a pain to try to get rid of by like EQing and stuff, and sometimes it's just not possible. So a good tip is to just do this, lower all your sounds and then raise them up after using something like Ozone. Yeah, then I just do a few little things in here. I usually drag this down to fast. I don't really know what that does exactly. I just know that seems to make it compress a little bit less, because if you see right here, I'll play the beat in a minute. Every time the kick of the 808 hits, it's gonna be sort of like bringing it down a little bit. I just mess with this a little bit just to make sure it's not like compressing it or whatever too hard. So yeah, I'm gonna show you guys that. You know, keep in mind, I'm not an audio engineer, but all I know is that this maximizer sort of just makes it so that when the kick is hitting, it sort of like brings it down a little bit just so the kick isn't overly loud. But that's sort of what I do, and then I just drag this character down to fast, just so it doesn't compress too slowly. I think that what that does is it like makes it duck down real quickly and pick back up, because you don't want your beat to just be like pumping. And then if you want to hear the difference, what you can do is you hit gain match right here. And so this is the left side, that's the audio before the maximizing, and the right side is the audio after. So what you do is you click gain match, and then you can click the bypass button. It's gonna show you the original. So yeah, that's a cool little trick, but make sure you press gain match, because the gain match is gonna move the input up so that it's at the same level at least, so you can just hear like the little qualities that are different. So yeah, I'm gonna let you guys hear it before and after, so yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but when the bypass button was clicked, the beat was limiting super hard and clipping super hard. But when you click the bypass button, the limiter and like all the other things it does, like the equalizer, the dynamic EQ, that all makes it just so, you know, the kick hits harder without being too loud. It just does a lot of stuff to make your mix sound better. Also, an added additional like plus to this is, like I said earlier, that you are gonna not have that like annoying little peaking where like you'll just have a little static noise with the melody just because it's too loud, like the 808's too loud, stuff like that. This is just a lot easier because it gives you headroom to work with, so you can actually mix instead of just blasting everything as loud as you can. But yeah, so I hope this video helped you guys pretty much. Just to summarize, I level in here as I'm making the beat just so, you know, the beat sounds good when I'm making it. Then after I'm done making the beat, I take off the soft clipper and then I drag all of these down to like right here. And I do some like final leveling just to make sure I get the final levels where I want them. And then I EQ the high end of the percussion by just grabbing this down here and dragging it up a little bit just to give it that crispiness. And then I do Ozone 8, I do the Master Assistant, and then I just play around with this a little bit, maybe drag the character down, and play with these two settings a little bit just to make sure it sounds good. That's gonna pretty much get your beats sounding good. That's what I've been doing recently. So all my recent beats that I've been sending out to artists have been mastered and mixed using this process. So I hope this helps you guys mix your beats. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. Also, be sure to head over to my Twitch, twitch.tv/KBeaZy and give me a follow over there because I'm doing a ton of live streams making beats for you guys on there. And yeah, if you want any of the sounds that I was using in this video, any of these drums, they're all from my drum kits. The link is in the description to all my sounds. But yeah, that's gonna be it. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, morning, night, whatever time it is, wherever you're watching, and I'm out. Peace.